But Dr. Brightup is another guy from UIL.
Yeah, I had a conversation with him after I had to appear before the UIL Executive Committee.
You look like, that's a scary face.
Well,
Let's tell that story.
Well, let's not. But we'll tell the story off camera. I mean, I got ejected from a contest. Didn't even cuss.
Yeah.
So I'd been ejected the year before at a tournament, AISD tournament at House Park against Hendrickson, in which, my keeper and the Hendrickson player collided, and my guy got called for the foul.
Yeah.
And he got a card, and they scored the goal. And I said, what was the foul? So the referee told me the foul, and I go, but he scored. There was no foul there. They ran into each other. He goes, well, it's a foul this time. And I said, that's a bunch of crap. He turns around, straight red card. And I was like, I looked over at Bill Anderson, who used to coach at Hendrickson, who's now at Weiss. I was like, what just happened? He goes, you had to leave the sideline. I'm like, okay, here I go. So I left. And I was on probation, and we were playing at Waco U. And Waco U was good. I think 2 years before they'd won state, and I'm still at Elgin. And, man, we're up 1-0, and we're struggling because they're fouling us hard. And the moment one of my players touched a jersey, we get called for a foul. And so I'm sitting there talking to the guys, and Waco U scored after they fouled us. They scored, and I was like, "Where?" I said, "Sir, they're beating up my kids." I don't ever say anything to referees unless my player safety's in danger or the competitive balance of the game has changed. Yeah. And so I said something. I'm like, man, they're brutalizing my kids, man. It's like gangland out here. And he just kind of looked at me, and I go, they're good. They're good enough. They don't need your help. Yeah. Straight red.
Didn't like
with
that.
2.5 minutes to go in the game. Waco U had tied it up, and then they scored the winning goal, beat us 2-1. Yeah. And I was 3 days away from being off probation. Yeah. So I had to go to the UIL Executive Committee. They said to protest. I'm not protesting. I'm showing up because I had to. Yeah. So we're sitting there, and they asked Garfield, Jim Gar. They asked Gar, how does it feel to be here? He goes, it's embarrassing. And I'd only known Gar for a couple of months because he was new to our school. And I'm sitting there like, man, this isn't good. It's like the Inquisition minus the hanging and the burning at the stake. And we get done, and the AD for Dallas was on the committee, and he had been the AD at San Antonio, Gil Garza. Okay. I hope he has bowel distress. He was hard. He was hard on me. Now, the assistant superintendent for Katy ISD was really empathetic. So we get done with the meeting, and they said 2 years probation, because they could have suspended me, 2 years probation, and they took Gar's suspend. Yeah, I was suspended for 3 games. And after we're done, I'm out in the hallway, and I'm getting a glass of water, and I'm out there going, I'm cussing under my breath. Dr. Brightup comes up. Hey, Coach Fox. I said, how you doing, Dr. Brightup? he goes, I called around about you. I was like, he goes, everybody had really great things to say about you. I'm like, I'm going to have to start cutting some checks here. And he goes, I need you to do me a favor. He goes, you're still on the board of directors for Tasco. I said, I'm membership coordinator. We need some help recruiting referees. Can you do that for me? I'll give you a call later and we'll follow up. And he
wanted somebody assertive.
He walks away, and I was like, only me. Because then when you drive back out to school, I get written up, and Gar's like, what did Brightup say to you? Yeah. I said, well, he wanted me to help.
He gave me extra duty.
Yeah, he gave me extra duty, man.
Yeah.
He goes, well, he did tell me he called about you, and everybody he talked to had really great things to say about you.
Funny.
And that's the funny thing.
And then start writing checks.
I meet these guys on a relational level, right? So I never see the hard of what you could see through like things that you're doing, but there's a reason God didn't make me a coach in high school sports, because red cards and suspensions might be in my future.
There's a good reason why I'm not coaching anymore. I mean, I don't miss it. I mean, I've enjoyed not coaching.
My intense face is interesting. My kids will tell you. So.
Well, my whole coaching style changed. There at the end of my career. I mean, I was the kind of guy that just stood on the sideline, and my voice projects anyway. And so I'm out there instructing the girls and stuff like that, telling them, this, that, and the other. And back when my language was pretty bad, the parents could hear me across the way. And But I got to the point where I stopped, and I'd sub a girl off, and I was like, "Hey, go get some water, come back over here," and we talk about what's going on, and but my voice would project and give instructions on the field, and it worked out for me. They were successful, but God had other plans for me. He's like, you know what? I need you at Tuesday night prayer. I don't need you on the sideline at practice and do all these other things, and it's been a blessing for me.
Well, that's the other thing. People don't really fully understand the time commitment coaching is. Mm-hmm. And, for the lifelong coaches, like they're most rewarding thing I do. Every July I go to the TGCA Hall of Fame presentations, and I listen to them speak about their careers and just the navigation of the success that they've had. But some of them, 30, 40 years into coaching, and man, I had some great speeches this year. I forget who the coach was. He went on to coach at TCU a little bit, but I was just in awe of this guy talking. But you could see the charisma through it all, and I mean, who would not want to play for you? He coached women's basketball, and he coached women's basketball at TCU for a minute. And I'm sorry I'm not up on names, but just the stories, there's some good dynamic people and selfless, coaching and faith, they go hand in hand, man.
Yeah.
And the best of them just know how to create relationship. Because teams that are for each other, those are the ones that freaking excel,
Yeah,
so.
And that's GAR. I mean, I can count on probably one hand the number of head football coaches / ADs or coordinators that I've been around that were not good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not the kind of guys I'd want my son or daughter to be around. And I count that at over 28 years, count on one hand.
Yeah.
I won't mention no names or schools that I was at, because that would not be appropriate.
I think we got to stop mentioning names in schools anyway, or else we're going to
have to start hitting that bleep button.
Yeah.
You have to do something about it.
But yeah.
We ready?
Yeah, y'all are rolling.
All right, let's go.
What are we going to talk about first?
Well,
you're already rolling into the coaching and sports stuff.
Well, I mean, a lot of that, like I said, kids on the field and relationship. And it's funny because even the topics we were talking about, how social media and social awareness and all those things have kind of jumped into the classroom a little bit and taken the attention away from kids.
A lot. They've jumped in a lot.
And now Texas passing. And I'd love to hear your perspective here in a second, because Texas passing the law to ban cell phones from school campuses, right? Which I know has probably come up already on podcasts you've talked about, but different things. And my perspective in that is yay, but the statistics that he was actually pointing out of the study from 2023 in the state of Texas that was saying 30% of kids were just anxiety and depression was on the rise. And I don't know the exact numbers that were in there. Then I'm blocked by the camera looking at your notes and stuff like that. But
yeah, 30% of Texas high schoolers reported persistent sadness. I mean,
right.
A lot of that, I'm sure, is overwhelming information all the time. We didn't grow up with that much information in our hands at all times, unless we had an Encyclopedia Britannica. But then we didn't have people fighting in our faces all day long.
Well, you talk about this separation between Gen X, like us, and Generation Z, Generation Alpha, which is part of the conversation too. And a lot of that stuff, we didn't have that access. So we didn't have that type of distraction in our life that wasn't just part of our life. So I'm curious, you're a week in almost. How's it looking?
It's been great. There's a handful of kids. I would say probably about 98 to 99% of our kids are compliant. There's a few, because when we last talked about it, school hadn't started yet. And now that we have, there's been a handful of kids that will have their phones out, and I'm like, what are you doing? And I tell them, guys, this isn't school district policy. This is state law.
Yeah.
And I personally think, in my opinion, the way the law should have been written is every school has an SRO on campus.
Yeah.
Okay, so if this is a law, then law enforcement ought to be involved in escorting that kid out of the classroom. And there's going to be parents, there's going to be adults that hear this and disagree with that. You're not in the classroom.
Right.
And for the adults that disagree the most are the reason why we have the law.
Well, and that's where I draw the line too, because what type of aggression is projected towards you based on the situation, and you're kind of put in the middle of that. Now, do I think this is a bad law? No, I don't. I actually think this is actually the first step in like winning our kids' minds back, right? But at the same time, I think you're on a roll there with why you're paid to do a job in a school, teach the kids, not parent the kids, right? Some kids go to school because they're not loved at home and they need to be loved, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes their teacher is the biggest inspiration in their lives. And like to turn you into a magnet of negativity in that situation is not always the best instance, but the effects in the classroom and, 2-3 days in, we've heard positives. Like kids are opening books, kids are asking questions, kids are engaged,
talking to each other.
Right.
So I don't like it too loud in my class, but I'm managing that because like if we get done early, which is rare because we have 45-minute long classes, which is not enough time to really get into content, but it's what we have, so we got to work with it. The kids are talking to each other. They're talking to each other in the cafeteria. Now, at our campus, they can have their phones before bell, before the school day starts, and we have metal detectors at our school now.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, where I grew up, there were metal detectors in every school. So
well, it's kind of new here, and like I said last time, we had some kid bring a gun to school last year because we have a segment of our kids that don't bring backpacks.
Yeah.
And the way the law is written is it has to be, if school districts go with they can have it on the person, it has to be put in their backpack, turned off and put in their backpack. If they don't have a backpack, it has to be turned into the office.
Yeah.
And if that's not written in our policy, that's what it should be. Because if you don't want to bring a backpack, that's fine, but you're not going to walk around phones. We got one young man that walks around with a hoodie on. I don't know what his story is. I've never had any issues with him. We've always been cordial with each other. He's got earbuds in. You can see the wire. And my thing is, if he's walking by administrators, are they doing anything?
Right.
And to me, and I get it. I'm an employee of the district. My function is in room B305.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if there's a fight in the hallway, I've said it before. I hope it works out for them.
Right.
I'm not jumping out there because we live in a litigious, a society that
you're risking
people
your
will
whole
sue.
life and career.
Yeah. I mean, I have 2 daughters.
Well, and your life.
And I have a grandson. And
your eye.
This is true.
And we have, and our metal detectors, I was told that we, that it's set to detect guns, but not knives. Wow. And I was like, so, because the other day at school, I mean, I was opening up boxes and stuff. I had my pocket knife.
Yeah.
And I carry it almost everywhere I go. I bring it to church because, I mean, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. But I was at school because I was opening up boxes and stuff.
Right.
And hey, coach, walk through the metal detector. I was like, I got a knife on me.
Yeah.
Because I'm opening up stuff in my classroom.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we don't have it set to knives. Why?
And it's so funny too, because it's such a different mindset. Like where I grew up, if you ever even brought a pocket knife into school, you're SRO. Like you're almost expelled, basically.
Yeah.
So like I never even thought of it having it on me, and then moving down here, I'm like, oh, like this is handy to have around.
Rednecks, dude.
My all the kids that I ever see, even in church, carry them because it is smart to have, and it is useful.
Yeah,
and
you never know.
You
might need to dig it out of your pocket and cut your seatbelt.
It could
save
be
yourself from
it
drowning
could be
in
a
lake.
screwdriver. It could be, yeah, man. There's so many uses for it, and that's the funniest thing. Like one of the first things I noticed when I first moved down here, and I'm like, these kids have weapons in school. Like, cause I'm working in schools, and I'm like,
I graduated. I graduated in '89 from Sulphur Springs, and we had. It was not uncommon to have kids come in after dove hunting in the morning, and their guns are in their gun rack in their truck, and they're walking around with knives. And the ag kids, constantly had knives, and you
got
can't.
A dead deer in the back.
Well, and I worked at Elgin, had kids do the same thing, pulling up with guns in their, and they had to crack down on some of that, but it's like a Texas thing, man. We carry knives around, and in Ireland they don't have guns. Everybody has knives, and they, that's the weapon of choice. And like I said, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. But I don't take my knife to school. But I guarantee you, we have kids, and they're checking. We have clear backpacks, so they're checking. They're kind of flipping around, and they look in there. But if you can walk through a metal detector and it's not set for knives, then why? I get we're trying to stop guns. I guarantee you, there's more instances of knives. I wouldn't want to be shot or stabbed.
Are they trying to avoid false readings, like with people's keys or something?
I don't know, because
I have one on my keychain that I've made it through TSA before.
The day I walked through the metal detector,
I already did on another podcast.
Well, the day I walked through,
traveled for 11 years with a knife in my bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
been a few times I've had one in my carry-on backpack.
It wasn't exactly hidden. It was one of those multi-tools.
Yeah.
Because, dude, when I travel a lot, right? And when I first moved here, I was traveling all over Texas. I was probably 110 nights on the road a year in different Texas schools, and I've seen a lot of schools, right? I've seen a lot of different situations. I've seen the good and bad of different security in situations. I've seen a lot, and I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times my little multi-tool came in handy. That thing sat at the front of my bag for 10 years, 11 years. This, probably 3 months ago, was the first time it ever got confiscated. Bummer. I hope I'm not throwing a shot at TSA. I mean, I appreciate it. It was a little one.
At least we don't have to take our shoes off anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I got pre-checked, so I didn't have to do that.
Right.
I take my belt off.
But
I need my pants up,
The funny thing is, I never noticed I had it in my bag until I needed it. And then it wasn't like I was sneaking it in. It was like, oh, they ever take it. It was a dull knife, so I wouldn't have done it. It was probably that big too. So, of course, I would be the idiot if there's a guy trying to take the plane down, I'm going to go attack him with a little mini knife. I would do it for sure. But
those safety scissors.
Yeah. Get what you
probably.
The Viscas, those.
Don't mess with.
Blade,
I had one of those that folds
man.
Up into like a credit card. In my wallet, and it got caught going through TSA.
If I'm going to go down, I'm going to take you, and I'm going to try and save as many people as I possibly can.
Well, I mean, that day I walked through, I had my keys in my pocket. It didn't go off.
Yeah.
But we have a guy, one of our hall monitors. He has like metal rods in his leg. He walked through, it went off. He goes, I set off the deals.
Is the sensitivity towards how much metal
I guess so. I don't know.
Feels,
but I mean, it's
like if you have a sword, it'll go off, but if you have a knife,
possibly.
It won't.
So no machetes are coming in.
Yeah, and I
have one in my car.
And I tend to stay off the social media page for the school I work at because I just don't want to see. It's bad enough being on the Hayes CISD community page.
You already have a big enough anti-fan club.
Yeah, there's that. Well, Terry Lee has a bigger one than I do.
To get you guys.
We have
shirts.
people fooled on. I think we have some people fooled on TikTok, but I mean, I think it's been great because kids are engaging more, and we did have a fight the other day. Usually there's lots of fights because we have mostly girl fights because the girls run their mouth on social media.
Yeah.
Or on their text groups and hey, did you hear what so and so said about you? Oh,
girls are mean,
you
man.
ain't gonna say it about me. And they go at each other and I don't know what the fight is about. I think it involved one of my students, one of my seniors, because it had a little S on her beside her name. I asked the kids. I said, "Man, y'all, what happened?" We don't know, Coach. We haven't heard anything about that. But I personally think that instances of that are going to go down.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, we've talked about it before. I mean, we had 2 kids commit suicide on the same day. And the things that I've heard that were said about what happened, what was being said to these kids on social media, it's barbaric. I mean,
right.
Kids are fragile these days.
It goes straight to that
it's
number.
Gen Z, man.
That anxiety number, that sadness number that we were reflecting.
I mean,
on
obviously it's gone up over time.
Yeah, I mean it has, and and I don't mean this in a negative way. and people will take it this way, but kids are soft these days. They're not resilient, and because their parents.
I laugh because
their parents
I say that to my boys.
They are coddled.
Well, their parents don't want them to.
I'm like, you're in a bubble.
Well, they're
so
going to
afraid
their
they're gonna
job
fail.
interviews with them, and they're adults.
Well, and their expectations are different too. Like, they don't understand that you have to work to get somewhere, right? We've talked, and people might shoot that idea down, but realistically, like, no, I think I'm going to come out of this great university that I've paid all this money to go to and make $150,000 a year. Some lucky few may, but other ones, 90% of us have to put in the work before we actually earn the salary.
Yeah.
And kids don't want to work that hard. So
they don't know how. A lot of them don't know how. They're not taught well anymore.
And they don't know how to fail up.
Right.
Yeah.
I told,
and
again,
failure is okay.
Yeah, I told parents last year, and we're going to meet the teacher not soon.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell the parents again this year, get off their back about their grades.
Yeah.
Just because you make a good grade doesn't mean you learned.
Yeah.
You promote a culture of cheating when you're constantly on your kids about their grades. Now they're going to go cheat so that they make good grades, so that you get off their back and you're not yelling and screaming because they're afraid you're going to be disappointed. How about you pull your kid aside and like, did you do the best did you do the best you could? Yeah. Then I'm proud of you.
Right.
Okay. So what can I do to help you?
Yeah.
Get off my back. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry for my Lindsay girl. She struggled in college this past semester, and I wasn't aware of it. She told me the other day. I was like, well, I said, why'd you fail the class? And she told me. I said, well, let's figure out what we need to do. Maybe we need to reprioritize. If you're spending too much time doing these things, for the time being, you need to give that up.
Yeah.
Or scale back so you can focus on school. Because if you're wanting to go to school and go to college and get a degree, then that needs to be, your important thing.
And that's where, like,
but it's a calm conversation.
It is. And kids nowadays, though, think if one instance of failure, because they've been brought into that society that teaches them that, no, I need to succeed in everything to be perfect. When they do fail, that's where those instances of like anxiety, depression, suicide, those all come in comparison. And, I'll tell my family the same thing, and my kids, I'm like, you're under my roof. You're in my protection. First, the Lord's protection is over that. And then you're under my protection. And there's no problems that you make in this place that we're not going to fix together. Right.
Yeah.
But we're going to learn. Right. And I think that's where, we've spent so much time putting them on a device and letting them learn from that device instead of human interaction. And that's where that law comes full circle back around, and people are actually forcibly being social again and thinking through things. And I think it's actually going to be, especially because, senior class last year was the, freshman when COVID happened, right? Was that last year or the year before? Not 25 kids. They were 8th graders. 24 kids were the freshmen when COVID hit. So basically, like, you saw the effects of online learning and just getting them in front of computers, even with the working world. And some of the adaptation's great. I mean, it's helped in a lot of ways, but then also too, like, those kindergartners back in those days, those are middle schoolers now, or 4th, 5th graders, and so on and so forth. And it's like, how does that affect them as they continue to grow in their life? And if they have access to media or a phone in schools, like, that's their crutch. That's their fallback. And I think it's so helpful that they're doing this year. So.
Well, and it's, there's going to be some growing pains with it, but I mean, our kids at my school have been phenomenal about it. And again, there's been some instances of kids not wanting to, but they're the kids that buck the system anyway.
Yeah.
They're those kids, and then there's a couple. Sometimes they just forget, and they're like, "Oh, I forgot," and it's a genuine "I forgot."
Yeah.
I mean, it's and
that's where the constructive, like, let's not be black and white, the letter of the law right away. Let's help them learn. Like you said, fail forward. Because I think, man, it's like 3 strikes and you're out in my kid's school, you know? So, and it's the first time we take your phone to the office or watch or earpods or whatever. Second time, they're checked in at the office. You could get them at the end of the day. And your parents are notified. I think third time is like, you know, it's strike 3.
Yeah, at our school, I think it's the second time parents had to come get it.
Yeah, it might be like that too.
But, you know, we have a different demographic. And
I want to say sorry to my principal friend that I didn't. Yeah. I don't. My retention's not as good, but I think it might be that we have to come to the school the second offense.
Well, and I think, you know, and we do have parents that enable their kids and like tell them. I mean, you know, I've shared with you the comments on Threads.
Yeah.
Touch my kid's phone, and you're going to get it. Am I really?
Mm-hmm.
You're threatening.
The SRO at school says otherwise.
I don't work at the school that your kid goes to, but you're threatening another person over a phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm enforcing the law. How about you teach your kid some responsibility?
Right.
To follow the law. That the laws do apply to you. Here's the one that really gets me. If my kid wants to be on his phone, he'll be on his phone. No, he won't.
Mm-hmm.
He won't.
If I pay for my kid's phone, he can use it when he wants to.
Yeah, your son or daughter is no more special than anybody else. Mm. I hate to tell you all this. He may be special to you. They may be special to you, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But they are no more above or below the law than anybody else walking this earth, in this country, in this state, and in the city and school they go to. The laws apply to them. In the argument, well, if if phones have to be put up, then teachers do too. Wrong. I have 2 college degrees. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree, and I'm the teacher of that class.
Yeah.
And I got news for you people. If, let's say, the power goes out at our school and they can't come on the loudspeaker, guess what they're going to do? They're going to send out a text alert to the teachers. So there's a big difference between being 54 years old and having college degrees and being 16 and being a student in school.
It's not an equal playing field.
No, your logic is flawed.
The kids are not equal as far as adults are when it comes to who gets to be in charge.
And let's be real, man. I'm still a 47-year-old child. So I maybe shouldn't have a phone in school.
I mean,
about to be 53,
but also
still growing up.
But I also understand that argument because, I mean, I myself have had students tell me, and I have witnessed walking by classrooms in whatever school I've worked at, teachers on their phones more engrossed in what's in this than teaching their class. I mean, I teach every day.
So you just mentioned the thing that I think is the flip side of the conversation too. Teachers have to be engaged now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's keeping them accouable.
And a lot of teachers, and since COVID, a lot of teachers aren't. So the parents that are holding that out, like teachers need to do their job. Yeah, and frankly, you know,
now they are more than ever.
Well, and teachers need to take a look at their teaching style, and how they're teaching. I mean, I had to take a long, hard look at my teaching style when I taught the virtual students at Hutto for a year.
Yeah.
Because the traditional teaching style did not work. And we started watching YouTube clips and having discussions, doing writing assignments. Engagement went up. The kids like it, and I use videos in my class. And now, at the school I work at, they've blocked YouTube from the kids. So I can show it on my login, but if I post a link to a video, if I have a student who's out, how are they going to be able to do the work? I'm finally getting answers as to why. So, you know, I think it's with the new law. Parents have to opt in. And so they're going through all the enrollment forms, and once they figure out all the opt-ins, then they can unblock it, which I get that. But I teach an on-ramps UT class.
Unblock it from each individual Chromebook?
Yeah, just unblock it totally. It's like a complete unblock.
If the parent approves for them to have access to YouTube and at the school?
If it's a certain number of kids, it's a certain percentage.
They'll open it all up.
Because I use Heimler's history in AP World because it gives the kids a visual of things, and then especially for the writing part of the AP exam, they like seeing that visual. This is what a good thesis statement looks like. This is all this, and then the on-ramps class that I'm in charge of for microeconomics. There's YouTube videos embedded in the curriculum, and they have to be able to watch them to do the work. And if they can't watch them, how can they do the work? because it's blocked on their school issue Chromebook. They can't bring their own personal laptops or iPads anymore, which I agree with that. But, it's over censorship.
Yeah.
And we need to get it fixed quick. And I get following the policy, but, and kids are going to abuse it. But then monitor it, because they monitor everything else on the Chromebook. If they're working on a Google Doc and there's certain keywords that pop up, it alerts the assistant principals and they call parents because the kids are trying to communicate and they can't access their personal email on the school issue Chromebooks now.
Yeah. But that's good. I mean,
is it blocked so that they can't communicate through YouTube Messenger or something?
And they
can't do any.
So they put like secure networks, like a VPN and stuff like that on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so they have access to every piece of history that's in each one of those Chromebooks that go through anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's, unfortunately, there's another layer to policing access to information for the kids, but at the same time, if it's for a learning experience, like you said, like I can't even tell you how much I've learned to do on YouTube.
I learned how to change a heating coil in a dryer.
Yeah, YouTube mechanic,
coil
garage door. I've done that too.
And YouTube, I'm telling you, it changed how I teach, and and again, I'm not the best teacher in the world. I mean, I like being around kids and interacting with them. But the YouTube videos have helped out. Like today we watched a video on the 4 factors of production. And it gives visuals of what, and my kids are engrossed. And, when you walk in my classroom, the kids are engaged and are doing work. And then they end up finishing their work up. And we have conversations about, the 4 factors of production. And, and they're seniors. And it's on-level econ. And here's what they're worried about. I just want to pass so I can graduate. Okay, well, then come to class, do your work. And, again, electronics and stuff like that have a place in school, but teachers, I agree, teachers need to be held accountable to do their job.
Right.
And so I don't have a problem with people coming in my classroom and observing what I'm doing, because I'm teaching every day.
Yeah.
We're either doing notes or having discussion. We're working on writing assignments. I teach every day. And, to know that there's teachers that aren't, because I have kids tell me, well, they give us a worksheet and they say, well, I gave you the instructions.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
You could hear, having 3 kids myself, you hear the good, bad, and ugly of every situation. And then also you see the progression when it even comes to like standardized testing, like STAR test here in Texas and stuff like that. I mean, if there's certain teachers that teach to teach, there's certain teachers that teach the test, there's certain teachers that say teach yourself, right? I mean, there's everything in between. But for the most part, I mean, the great thing I would say is 90%, 80% of the people I've met in education are there for the right reasons. A lot.
No, I agree.
But making them police the situation, like, it's like, all right, I'm back in agreement with you with SRO, but then also bringing and wrapping around all the other technologies in the classroom and the different things they're doing. They have to utilize tools that are going to make them successful in life, regardless. Yeah. And as we become more advanced, their work's never going to be fully on their cell phone,
right?
But it's going to be in technological stratospheres, like things like YouTube and
public
and other stuff.
Private schools and charter schools, are they exempt from this law?
Yeah, they are.
So what's going to end up happening is that the kids coming out of these charter and private schools are now going to maybe be more technologically advanced than
I don't know that they are, because like a lot of private schools, you can't have your cell phone out. It's they've already had the rules in place, and I have a feeling. I mean, I'm assuming that if parents are paying all that money, and they say you can't have your phone, I mean, because private schools, if you don't want to follow the rules, they kick you out.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've told a couple.
There's a waiting list for.
Yeah, I've told a couple of the kids at school. I'm like, look, if you want to have your phone, it's called homeschool. You can be on your phone all day long. You don't have to worry about the rules if you don't want to follow those. And also, I've argued for this and advocated for this for a long time. If there are kids in school that don't want to be there, get their butt to the alternative learning center, let them get their credits and let them get out. I cannot tell you the number of students in my 27 years now 28, that I don't want to be here. Coach, I don't want to be here. I just want to work. I worked all summer. I was working 40, 50 hours a week. I was making really good money. And when I come to school, I can't make money. I got to help support my family. Got to help pay bills. I just want to work. Okay. And then they have to jump through hoops to get to the alternative center so they can just get their credits and get out. If that's what students will do, because that student ends up becoming a truancy or a behavior problem sometimes. Not all of them.
They don't want to lose their per diem per student.
But they'll still get it because they're at the alternative center, and those numbers count with ours.
Right.
According to what I've been told. So they still get them. And that's another thing. If we want to talk about that, funding doesn't need to be tied to attendance.
Right.
Because we're in our first full week of school, Monday through Friday. And I would say that I've already got about 10 to 15% of each class out. I had a student get COVID. I got kids that are sick.
Yeah, and I'm not going to give the magic numbers, but I sit there and talk to schools about funding a lot of the times and get in conversations with different districts across the nation. And there's a cutoff time where the kid's considered there for the whole day. And then there's also that cutoff time when they could leave and not be counted as absent. And people know that. Like why do we have to have a system where people know that? Because the dollars and cents matter about that kid being in a chair.
Yeah.
When it should be, okay, our attendance attrition rate or graduation rates, those should be the driving factors.
Like a meritocracy metric or something.
Something like that. But I don't even know if that would fully work out either, because you could go to inner city schools and say the same thing, and if they might have the highest attendances out there, but they might have a lot of kids that do have to work for a living to support their families, because, come from a single family instance or a single parent instance or something like that. You never know the kid's situation there. And like I said, there's kids that come to school to be loved because they're not getting love at home too.
It's a bad situation. And the holidays are the worst for them.
Right.
And summer's the worst time for them. Like, everybody's excited about school getting out. They're terrified. Well, and there's people that have talked about, and I've seen this being advocated by adults on X and on Instagram and on Facebook and on podcasts, to tie funding to enrollment. So you want to talk about, so people are like, well, how would you do that? Here's how that works. So if you tie it to enrollment, now there's more incentive for schools to make sure that they are showing academic progress. Yeah. Because if you're a school like Wimberley, that has an open transfer policy, and they're rated A. Let's say they're rated A. I think they're rated A by the TEA system, which really doesn't mean anything because the numbers are skewed in their load in order to get an A. But Wimberley ISD is a good school district. Yeah, they have their problems. Ask Ashley that, and some of the issues that happen with her kids. But academically speaking, it's a strong school. So if it's based on enrollment, it encourages your school to be academically, have good teachers, and perform well on whether you like tests or not, but to perform well, because that increases enrollment. If you increase enrollment, you increase your funding. Yeah. And so for the schools that are struggling, and we don't do a good job of prepping teachers. I've said this before. Yeah. And it's so heavy on testing, and the kids get test apathy. We got to do CFAs.
Oh, the anxiety that even creates is
it's crazy.
Well, so I originally coming from Illinois, where my wife, is ISAT. So Texas has the STAR. Common Core is not curriculum here in Texas, but I'll be honest with you, the STAR is the same as Common Core curriculum that you would see in other states and stuff like that. It is. Well, I deal with school districts from Chicago to Indianapolis to Minnesota to Iowa, Oklahoma,
all
over the central United States.
I need to travel
all the way down Arkansas, Louisiana. I mean, the parishes are a little different instead of counties, but that's the only thing that's different in Louisiana. And I mean, it's the same story from Common Core to individualized state testing. We've turned it into a unit because statistically, we need to be able to measure our progression, right? And if you can't measure, we built a system based on measuring progression and creating measurables, because measurables are actual results. There's that old saying that says, statistics never lie, but statisticians always do, right?
That's
So
so true.
And
did somebody say NIH? What?
yeah, it's crazy.
Fauci? What?
But so that's so my wife used to write curriculum for Common Core, and I'm indifferent when it comes to testing because I do think there is a measurable or a barometer that kids need to be judged on. But I'm also like, she taught me so much in the way she taught, like how she created an experience for kids, because she was an elementary education teacher. I mean, here it is, she's teaching about Christopher Columbus going across the ocean. She builds a ship in the middle of her classroom with first graders and has them acting like they're hitting waves and going through and just creating an interactive experience, right? And it didn't exactly follow the curriculum that she was supposed to teach for Common Core, but her kids were testing some of the highest in the school. But that was her barometer, right? And her measuring stick. I mean, she got recognized for Disney Teacher of the Year. I'll throw plugs at her all night long because I thought she was a phenomenal teacher. But that's
we're gonna boost Brooke up at church Sunday. We're gonna give her some props, man.
But
that'll embarrass her too.
But she also walked away from that because of what she saw it turning into, where schools more and more from that point forward started saying, "This is our test, this is our curriculum, teach to the test." So it almost became a point, and she uses substitute teaching here in Texas more as that's how I serve, right? She wants to help people and help them be light in their burdens and stuff like that, and be a light in like hallways that she's going into. And she enjoys substitute teaching. She enjoys giving relief to people and doing those types of things. But she's like, I can't be in the classroom because I can't be as creative as I used to be, because no, you got to teach to the test.
My sister did that for a long time too.
Yeah.
She did some long-term subbing when teachers would go out on maternity leave, and they'd be sometimes gone for the whole year almost, and she'd sub in for almost the whole year too.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, when I retire, I'm not doing that. You're going to catch me overseas doing something or somewhere here in the States. I mean,
done substitute teaching.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I like teaching AP, because I don't have to worry about teaching TEKS. I can actually teach history the way I want to.
That's awesome.
Because I think that was another talking point,
But that's also the difference between elementary education and then middle school education is a different level, and high school is a different level too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to worry. I mean, my kids will end up taking the STAR their junior year, even if they take AP US, and they'll be prepared. Because we had to take beginning of the year assessment last year and end of year assessment, and my kids were forced to take a test over TEKS. I don't teach TEKS, but yet my students, again, I teach college board stuff, but my students at the end of the school year, some of them perform lower than what they did in the test at the beginning of the year, but almost all of my students increase their score. I'm not saying that's a result of me, but I mean, because whenever we talk about things in AP world, we're still touching on some TEKS-based things, but I don't teach that stuff, so why are my kids being forced to take a benchmark test over stuff they don't
advanced placement in Texas, you're asking to be there too. So those kids want to be there. They want to exceed in or excel in their learning experience and stuff like that, and they also want to get the college credit. So 90% of them will push to try and take that test to test out for the credit at the end too.
Well, at my school, they now have to take the test to get the weighted GPA, and to get the college credit, they have to score 3 or above. Yeah, and my kids last year did really well. Not as good as I'd wanted them to, but that's my fault because I didn't expose them to how to do the multiple choice like I should have, and we didn't do enough free the essay questions practice. We hammered the DBQ because that's what they said they were intimidated by, and they did great on that. Yeah, and they're awesome kids, and there's nothing they could have done. And if they hear this, they know this. There's nothing they could have done on that test that would make me be disappointed. Right. Because a couple of them came and told me, it's like, hey, Coach, I didn't answer the essay. My brain was just shot. I'm like, that's fine. I'm good with you, man.
But that goes back to, like, where's your foundation? Where are you coming from? Like, and the softness of kids. Like, you got to understand, like, you're not letting us down. Like,
No.
so much of our, so much of like we talk about Generation Z and Alpha and the kids that are, here, put a tablet in your hand, please don't complain, or something like that. Like, no, man, we want a relationship.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to say in that is, no, I'm here to teach you and progress you forward. And it's one little piece. And 10 years from now in your life, is this one little piece going to matter at all? Heck no. But it was an experience that you're going to remember, and it's going to propel you forward.
Yeah.
And what's that lesson, right?
Well, and it's having conversations with the kids. Again, today in econ, we work on 4 factors of production. Land, capital, labor, entrepreneurship. And so we're sitting there in class, and their assignment was to identify the 4 factors of production, give some examples of what that is, and then list 10 products that you buy and categorize them by those factors. And so we're sitting there talking, and I could hear a couple of guys talking. I said, hey guys, I have a proposal for you. So what would be a plumber? And they're like, well, that's labor. How does a plumber become an entrepreneur? And they're like, he starts his own business. I said, but how does he do that? They're like, well, he just kind of starts his own business. I said, do y'all know how hard it is to start a business? I said, well, here's how you do it. If you're, so if you work for somebody, if you're in trades and you work for somebody, all right, then you build a client base. You be good at what you do. You build a client base that's loyal to you. So if you're a plumber, you work for a plumbing company, and you go out and you do work, and people like the work you do because typically you're probably good at what you do. You probably do it in a shorter amount of time, which saves them money. You're honest. That's a big thing. You're honest. And so
reliable.
Yeah. Do what you say and say what you do.
And so whenever they have another problem, they request you from the company you work for. And when their friends and neighbors have problems, they said to request you. So now you have this client. So after 7 to 10 years, you have this client base.
I can vouch for that exact process.
Then you start your business.
Yeah.
You tell them, like, hey, I just want to let y'all know in 3 months, I'm starting my own business. Here's my business card. And you go out there and you do this on your own time. Don't do it on the company dime. You give them your card. It's like, share this with your friends and family. And then in 2 to 3 months' time, when you start your business, you tell them, like, hey, here's going to be my Facebook page or whatever. I'll announce it. And you've already got a client base established. And then you start, now you're what? You're an entrepreneur. And they're like, I'd have never thought about that. See, and
everybody's worried about where they're starting.
Yeah.
Instead of where they're finishing.
Yeah.
And that's what we...
Or they want the finish before the start.
Right. And that's where we were talking about
cart before the horse.
Like you got to work.
Yeah.
You got to hustle. You got to create relationship. You have to, they're like networking.
And
what the heck's networking?
Every job is a learning process.
Oh, yeah.
There's an opportunity to do something new. My job, and like a plumber, is different every time.
No, I mean,
the house is different. The location's different. The people are different.
The
dogs are different.
I've managed a ton of people in good and bad situations. And sometimes I think things are wrong and I call things out in the wrong way. And I have to have somebody step in and say to me, hey, man, should have maybe handled it like this. And I'm like, yep, I probably should have.
Same way.
I catch myself apologizing mid-conversation because I'm like, look, I could see you're getting curious or fired up about what I just said. And I think that came across the wrong way. And don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest wordsmith in the world, I'm like, here's my meat, here's my potatoes, let's go, right? And sometimes I say it the wrong way, but the funny thing is like our kids just need to be taught. You're gonna say things the wrong way sometimes, but it's more painful not to say anything.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, and I get that in I get that in class. I tell the kids, I get it in class a lot. I get it from I see it. After an assignment is due. Yeah. I didn't understand the assignment. Well, why didn't you say anything? Well, I'm scared of you, or I'm nervous. I'm like, I had this powerful tool called email. Yeah. Email me. Right. And I'll tell the kids, if we're on our Chromebooks and we're discussing something, and you have a question about it, and you don't want to ask, email it, and I'll go. If I look at it, I'll pass it off as an email from a student in another class. I won't call you out.
Yeah.
Because that's what they don't want. They don't want to be called out. And I get it.
Right.
But you have to communicate with me on
Right.
some level for me to be able to help you. I'm not Aquaman over here. I can't read your mind.
Well, and it carries over in life and everything. I
Yeah.
love you put little Jesus out there because we got to talk a little bit about Jesus too.
He's hanging over
Well,
on
we
the soundboard all the
talk
time.
about it in a lot of these conversations. Like, if you don't bring it to light, it can't be blessed.
Yeah.
And even if it's bad, when you put light on it, light is for good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when things are buried in the darkness, buried in your closet, buried in everything, and you're not putting it out there for people to see, nobody's going to help you with the
Right.
situation they don't
Yeah.
know about. And it's every strand of life. Like, it's like we talk about keep it simple, kiss.
Yeah.
You
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. It was
Yep.
funny. But there's
Yeah.
simple principles, faith that you could do it, right? Faith that God's in control and he's going to take care of everything. And two, it's just trust and knowing that if you speak it, like, even if it's bad or good, like, you could fix it. If people know about it, it can be worked on. But that's the thing, is we have this tendency, and kids do it, adults do it. Man, that's going to hurt too bad for that person. I can't say the thing. Say the thing, because it helps you get past
Quit being
it.
soft. Say the thing.
Right.
Well, and your kids are involved in YNG at our church, with Pastor Abe, and man, Pastor Abe and his wife, dude, they're
I love
doing.
them.
Yeah.
I love talking to Abe. I mean, he's
I'm gonna
just
get him in here
real,
and talk
man.
about his 200 days of running.
Yeah, and Abe's got some
How
grit.
many days in is he?
I think he's like
He's over 200
weeks
now.
in or something?
Yeah, he's getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just
in week 3,
he's
I
got
think.
grit, and and he's got, to me, when he shares his testimony, he's got skins on the wall.
Right.
Of terms of being, not the best person, and not coming from the best background, and not having all the structure and base in place. And, so your kids are involved in all this, and you can probably speak to this better than I can, but when I see them, like last night,
Yeah.
and we talked about this last night, I'm going to say it right now. If you listen to this and you're in the Kyle, Buda, South Austin, San Marcos, North New Braunfels area, and you're looking for a church home, come give us a shot. Come to Vertical Chapel in Kyle on Post Oak Road, and just kind of check it out. We have a presence online. We play lessons on YouTube for our streaming platform. We have the podcast. Give it a shot, and just see, because if you have young people, if you have teenagers, man, our youth group on any given Sunday, there's 150 kids up there, and they're not all kids that go to our church that are being poured into.
It's crazy.
And if your children are anxious and worried about things, I don't see that in our youth.
The relationships that have formed there, and even it's trickled into
I get
young
emotional
adults.
about it.
It's trickled into our young adults. Now I got one of my kids that's a young adult, and he was just telling me
It's
a
'cause
story
you're
of,
old.
I know. Man,
All of mine are young adults, son.
And mine
Daryl
too are.
too.
Yeah.
I'm breaking the ice. I got one, and then it's going to be
He's right
2
behind
next
us.
year,
Yeah.
and then third's the freshman. So we got like 4 years of grace right there, But he was telling me a story. He's like, yeah, man. He goes, there's these 2 young adults that were dating for 6 months. They met here, and now they're engaged to be married.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I'm
I
not
met
saying
my wife at church.
I'm not saying if you're coming, like, don't come to Vertical Chapel to try and find a wife. Some people might do that.
We don't have a singles ministry because
Yeah,
we're not a
no.
dating service. But
Right.
last night,
But I'm like, it's just so cute. Last night we were talking about this. There were 40 baptisms last
man.
night.
40.
Kingdom
44.
victory last
And
night, man.
I think you were at the church when I got baptized, and it was like the first April after I came in 2014.
Elm Grove
so
outside.
Elm Grove
Out the
outside.
window.
There might have been 50 people at the baptism. There was probably
I
still
got a video of
15
that one.
people that got baptized that day. But just thinking from those beginnings to what we saw last, I mean, there were 400 to 500 people in the room.
Yeah, and the great thing about
On
it
a
is,
Tuesday night.
On a Tuesday
yeah,
night.
I saw
night, school
a
night.
couple of our young adults.
So exciting.
Some of our young adults. LD, he comes to base camp. The big muscular guy.
Yeah.
Who played football. Man, I love that dude, man. I love talking to him. He's been coming to base camp. He got baptized last night. But whenever he got baptized, the youth because I think he's helping out with the youth group, and there's a couple other guys that that sit down there by us on Sunday morning that are working with the youth. There's a correlation between the mentorship that's happening with our young adults and with our young people.
Yeah.
And it's like I tell my students, I'm going to learn more from you guys than you learn from me. I can teach you history, but you guys teach me patience, humility, and how to
the
interact
fruits
with
of the
people.
Spirit.
Yeah,
that comes into it.
Yeah, I was just telling Ralph earlier today that we can learn a lot from kids.
Well, and that's why on baptism nights I like to be up top.
And his son did such a great job.
Yeah, I like to be up top to watch that because I like to see what's going on. And man, I like to see that our young people, our youth, are huddled around that tub, but we had like 8 or 9 young people, more like 12 young people get baptized last night. And when they started getting in the water, man, it's like a pep rally. And when they came out of the water, man, I mean, dude, it's hard not to get emotional because
fired up.
Our young people are on fire,
right?
And it's our young people, and it's our I hate using these terms, Gen Z and all that stupid crap.
We've been talking about it because it was on the screen.
Man, it's so brutal, dude. Yeah, look at them, man. The Tylers were there last night. I love when they're. I mean, it's there's Gil. There's my boy Gil. I didn't know he was getting baptized last night. His wife surprised him. I went up there and talked to him. He's like, my wife surprised me. She wanted to get baptized today. Yeah, look at him. Their little girl.
That's awesome.
Was so good.
I mean, and you can feel it. You can feel.
Yeah.
And again, there's people going to be watching this, and they're going to look at them.
And over here on the right, for people, when I put this up, we'll be watching it. Those are all young adults and teenagers surrounding this baptismal font.
Right.
And for those that don't, that watch this and think this is inappropriate, this is my platform.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about what we want to talk about, and because that's what, as Christ followers, this is what we're supposed to do.
Right. You spread the talk about God.
Talk about this because
about that.
Look
light
at this.
in the world.
People are breaking generational curses.
Right.
Because I know a little bit about Gil's story. Because we talk at base camp. Man, Gil's on fire, dude. He knows his scripture. He carries his Bible everywhere. He carries his Bible to work. His Bible's about to fall apart. And there's Pastor Jody. Pastor Jody's been a mentor to him. Look at this, man. I'm so happy for them. But look at everybody.
Yeah. No, my son was right up there in front with them all too.
Man, people just get fired up.
Which is great to see. But these things in this picture too also leads to conversations at home. Like as a dad, I look at this, and when something acts out of turn at home, they're actually checking themselves in scripture now. Yeah. And it's like, is this who you want to be? Because this is not like he and his brother could get at it, right?
Brothers.
and say something about each other, like act mature, act 19, but when you say even that to him and he gets mad, are you encouraging him, or are you saying it to break him down? You're breaking him down. And is that a heart of God walking into the room? And that's what we even learn in schools. Like, we're not ambassadors to push our Christianity onto people. We're ambassadors to act like Christ. We're there to basically show and represent what Christ looks like to people, because that's how they change. That's how they get convicted. That's how
when they see it.
That's the attraction. Like for me, I looked at this picture when I was probably 32 in my life. I think that's when Brooke finally dragged me into church. I grew up a Creaster, a Catholic. My parents actually probably tried to drag me a lot into church, and I told stories how I went to CCD as a kid. But I looked at this picture, and I'm like, those are those crazy people. The born again.
Not the hand-raising church people. They handle snakes. Yeah.
And it's funny because even in Sean's message last night, he's like, you have to be born again. You have to be born of the Spirit. Yeah. And the funny thing is like when you finally get that and see that, and it changes you. And it's amazing. This is the Super Bowl we have every first guys, Vertical Chapel, every first Tuesday of the month. If you want to get a relationship with Christ, come put yourself in the water and have the Holy Spirit born in you. Every first Tuesday of the month. It's a celebration.
Tuesday night prayer, man. Yeah. It's like Sean said.
Are we going to start doing them once a month?
I think so. and I'm probably over
It's been once
advertising.
every couple of months, but
You can never over advertise. There's no such thing as over advertising.
That takes
40's
a whole
a lot.
hour. It took an
40's
hour
a
and 20
lot.
minutes to do
But the emotional
40 of them.
The emotional drain to this sometimes is a lot too, because people don't realize the heaviness that you're shedding from certain
Well, and
situations.
then at the end, you know, people are giving their lives to Christ, and
Yeah.
those are all new baptisms coming.
So
Well, and
crazy.
there's people sitting out in the audience that came to support friends, or
Mhm.
family friends, that are sitting out there, and they don't get this,
Right.
and my heart breaks for them.
It's another teenager.
Well,
My heart breaks for them because, man, this is, you know, if you're sitting up here, if you're a Christ follower, or even if you're a box checking Christian,
Yeah.
and you're kind of walking that line where you don't know if you're ready to go full blown in or you're not,
Yeah.
and this doesn't make you emotional,
Yeah.
because I'm sitting up top watching all this.
Mm-hmm.
I've got tears.
Yeah. Well, and
It's not sad.
it's
Yeah.
it's
Happy
it
too.
is joy, and
God,
you know, it's
yeah.
like
joy.
where people like you could say and proclaim you're agnostic in certain ways, but until you feel that power or that feeling,
It's freedom, is what they
moved to Texas without
Yeah.
family here, like found a family in church and found support and found so much, and then I found out it was more Christ that was in my support, like supportive corner, than anything in the world, and that's where we got baptized 6 months into being here, because it was just it almost coming from a place where we came from, where our foundation was starting to be rooted and taught, which was so fantastic, because the introduction there to Christ to me it's a whole other testimony.
Yeah.
But
Well, and this
it
girl,
just
yeah.
built in this place.
Well, and
which
this
is
girl right here, you know, as soon as she gets in there, her dad leans over. You know,
Yeah.
that's how men are
powerful.
supposed to lead.
Yeah.
We had a lot of
This is when it started glitching out.
we had a lot of fathers,
Yeah.
down there with their kids,
Well,
because that's our role.
shout out. Think about this. Like, we do a KOZ ministry at the church, right?
Yeah.
And that's every second Sunday, or every second Saturday, where we're leading, you know, it's a fatherless youth ministry, right? For young boys, and basically teaching them how to hunt, teaching them how to use a knife, which
Yeah.
is funny, change oil, start a
Change the
lawnmower,
tires, you
change
know,
some
how to
tires, do some
fish,
stuff. I mean,
Use a bow and arrow.
I took my kids in that when they were young, right? And their first hunting experiences were through that ministry, but that is in itself, like, you see those blessings and the growth from those kids to this. And you know, the funny thing is some of those kids that are 18, 19, 20 years old now are kids that I led in that ministry 11 years ago when I first came to Vertical. And it's just like seeing them and seeing how much the Lord has impressed in their lives.
Yeah.
I didn't imagine that stuff 12 years ago in my life. And 14 years ago in my life, I told you, I thought this was for crazy people.
Yep.
Right? So,
And look at you now.
Man, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, we've talked about bringing Don Disco in here because, you know, he went to him and TJ. They went to Ukraine to introduce KLZ over there, because you have a lot of and once again, there are going to be people when we play this clip. Well, why y'all go to Ukraine? It has nothing to do with politics.
No.
It has everything to do with kingdom mission,
Right.
and helping little boys who
Right.
have lost their father in a war.
Which is a lot.
Right.
And it could go the same way on the other side for Russia.
Right.
Why, you know, I mean,
How did
you know,
Jesus
it's
talk about the Gentiles?
Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult in Russia. Yeah.
That's what we are.
Yeah.
And in Russia, Gentile. Ukraine, Gentile. Like, they're all part of us, unless, you know, they're of Jewish faith, obviously. But at the same time, everybody in this world is a brother and sister in Christ, even if they're not following the faith.
Yeah.
In our eyes, right? But again, we talked about this last week. It's not our job to go make those people. It's our job to make disciples, right? But it's not our job to tell people, like,
you need to do this.
It's not self-directed.
It's a gift.
Not pushing
It's
them.
up to you whether or not you want to receive the gift.
I was looking for the right words.
Yeah.
But
it's the example we set. It's by what we do.
Yeah.
That causes people to want to ask, how are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Why are you the way you are? How come? Because people ask me, do you worry about stuff? I'm like, no. And I used to. And my dad told me, the other day, he goes, you used to worry about a lot of things. They're like, how come you don't worry about things?
So,
man, I got God, dude.
Life verse for my family, Philippians 4:6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, present your request to God, and He will do it.
And we have a lot of, and there are a lot of kids at school that self-diagnose themselves with anxiety. Mm-hmm. They've never been to a doctor, but they get nervous about things, and a lot of that has to do with social media and being on their phones. Yeah. And they're so worried. They put their value and self-worth in popularity and culture and everything else, and wearing the right stuff, and I got to have these kind of shoes, and I got to have these kind of clothes. Man,
I don't look good. I didn't get the best traits. I've heard it all, and I think I've told you all. I woke up to my dad in my life throwing up every day to start his day. He was afraid to start his day. And I saw him get baptized about 6-7 years ago in my life now. And I've seen a changed man. And he was always afraid to tell me of the hurt he had from the past.
Did your baptism have anything to do with him?
I don't know. I mean, it might have. But
go ahead.
My mom does Bible studies now. On a daily, and pray for her too, man. And I'm going to ask for prayer for her. She has heart inflammation right now. So they're dealing with health issues at home, but at the same time, she's rooted differently. Yeah. And she grew up, Catholic household. Her parents were at church, at the Catholic church. And obviously in the Catholic church, it's a little different. Rules to engagement. But
good way to put it.
It's the best way to put it.
How you get intercession.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and
go back to your dad though. Before you saw a change in your dad,
he just, he still fears things, and obviously fear isn't of the Lord, but at the same time, those things slowly slipped away, and he was medicated at certain portions of his life for different things. There was resentment in my heart towards him earlier, and I've talked about that just based on things that happened to me. But I love him. I mean, I've seen so much growth in him, even in confidence that he never had in his life. And he's a 70-some-year-old man now, and he gets baptized.
Just goes back to that. We can learn a lot from kids, and if he saw you give your life to Christ and how it changed you. Yeah. Maybe he thought, right. Jeff's on to something. I'm going to learn something from him. And
there's pain and there's forgiveness that needs to happen with other people in my family towards him.
Yeah, we were talking that last week, I think.
Yeah, sometimes. But you know what? Sometimes time heals everything, but also the right mindset heals a lot. And
forgiveness heals a lot too.
Man,
there has to be a willingness to forgive from some people.
I think a couple years into Vertical, we went to camp with men, and it was all of us telling our testimonies, and people were like, I just can't forgive. And I got up and talked in front of everybody, and I said,
y'all do Wild at Heart? Was that?
No, I've done Wild. I've done Wild at Heart too. The one in Wimberley.
Okay.
And I kind of stood in front of everybody, and I said, I've been through a ringer, and I thought I'd never forgive, but God showed me that forgiveness isn't always access, but it's the first step in healing your heart. And I don't think there's ever a situation where I wouldn't forgive a person, all the way down to death. It is a control mechanism the devil uses over your life, and I saw it firsthand for a long time. And when I finally laid that down, I saw change, real change. And that's what that baptism represents.
It's starting new.
Yeah.
You know, that Wimberley one was the first time I ever got up in front of people and told them I had a drinking problem.
Yeah.
There was probably, 70 men in that room? 50, 70 men?
Yeah.
Well, and Pastor Jody's really
and I kept
good.
drinking.
And
My bad.
that's that light we're talking about. Like the things
But
you speak
It's
into.
my first time to kind of ask for help.
Well, like I never thought, like even in that situation, like speaking something into reality, into light, how much it could be blessed. Because my dad was baptized after that.
Yeah.
In different things. And it's just, that's that true power of, like, people like, you're talking about the Spirit. I'm like, yeah, I'm talking about the Holy Spirit. That's the true power of how he works and operates. And is he visual? Some.
Yeah.
I believe it.
And it helps to have the right people in your life. You know, Pastor Jody is man, he's such a blessing to our church because man, he's so wise, and he says this a lot at base camp. You know, he's encouraged people, and we talk about these in testimonies during our time together on Thursday nights. You know, where people say, man, you know, I talked to Pastor Jody. I sought wise counsel. I said, man, you guys won't believe what Pastor Jody told me to do. Like what? He told me to go ask for forgiveness. And I was like, man, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to ask for forgiveness. And then but you do. But Jody also says part of that is you have to forgive yourself. Yeah. There's that component too. And you know, the guy that wrote the 5 love languages wrote a book called The 5 Apologies, because there's different ways of apologizing.
Right.
And I read that book, and it was very eye opening to me, because I mean I didn't know how to apologize, and you know somebody's apology language, and but having the right people in your life that can mentor you, that can give you wise counsel. Yeah. And you know, and sometimes it comes from the people you least expect. Yeah. And it just, you know, you're sitting there talking to them, and they say something, they share something with you because they feel safe with you, and it just punches you in the gut.
Well, and sometimes it's not. It could be my sons, man. It could be my daughter. And they come in like a wise sage. At some point, you're just like, what? Yeah. You know, like, what? But we could kind of go through this really fast, but how Elisa ended her sermon on Sunday, a test of true humility. And she gave us 4 challenges and questions, and sit there and stir on and see, you know, how this lines up with who we are. And the humility portion is exactly what you're talking about. And the first one was, do I believe life has been given to me, or do I believe it belongs to me? Right. So she's like, just sit and think on that. Right. Because there used to be this young Jeff that I sat and interviewed for the company I still work for now, before I came an owner with them, that said, hey, see that building over there someday? My name's going to be on the top of that building. Right? That was my 30-year-old self. I thought I was king of the world. I thought I could sell ice to Eskimos. I thought I could do it all. And I had to be humbled.
It's the arrogance.
Right.
Yeah, because the last part of that is arrogance.
Right.
The first part is humility.
And I thought it belonged to me because you could go get anything you want, and it's what I want. It's what I
You
need.
make the decisions for your life.
Right.
You're in charge of you.
Right. And then you finally realize that you're living for something else. And that's where that changes, you know. And that leads right into number 2. Right. Want to hit it?
Yeah. Am I living to build his kingdom or mine? You know, and I like, Chris says this all the time. More of him, less of me.
Right. Well, we were talking about it last week. Are you shaping the book, or is the book shaping you?
Yes.
Right? Because the book is his kingdom.
Yeah.
It's not ours.
It's not.
And for us to shape the word or rewrite it, I mean, here's the thing. That's 69 different books of the Bible that are written over 1,600 years of a span of history. If we were meant to give our 66. Interpretation to it, then it's different, right? But it's supposed to read us, not us reading it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then people want to read it and interpret it in a way to fit their narrative, to justify what they're doing. And that's one of the things I like when Doug talks about it a lot. Ron has talked about it, about, you know, people will interpret the scripture to fit culture.
Yep.
Yeah, don't give me this word to make what I did that I know is wrong in my mind okay.
Because people
I've also come across, God never said not to do this.
Yeah.
Or God never said to do that.
Yeah. So
But
when you stand in front
then
of
you're
them at
putting
the
words in
pearly
God's
white
mouth,
gates
you know?
and you say, well, you never said this or that, so I just thought it'd be okay.
Well, and that's when God tells you,
Be gone.
I never knew you. Never knew you.
Yes.
That's a scary,
Yeah.
I mean, when I look back on my past and I start thinking about that very comment, you know, I don't want to get to the gate and think, you know, man, I think I did a pretty good job.
I never knew you.
And like, I never knew you. I mean, that's, ooh, man.
Well, think about that, because the context of, do you actually fear God? I mean, what's a true testament of life? Fearing God. It's not fear. It's fear and reverence. It's fear in
hell.
So, like, people are like, well, what's fear and reverence mean? It's a respect thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if the Bible's reading you, your life is changing. Your convictions mean, yeah, that's a sin in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You got to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're walking a different way, like, that's, people talk about that story all the time. Like, think about, you know, when, who was it that wrestled with God?
Jacob.
Jacob.
Yeah. Got a new walk.
Broke
right?
his hip.
Broke his hip.
As
And
a reminder.
I always I was a wrestler, so maybe that's why I think of the story all the time. So it just resonates with me. And, I always physically think of that story. Like, I'm fighting what you're trying to change in me.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I come out of this dog pile, because you're dog piling me, you're not letting me up with anything easy.
Right.
I'm coming out with a new walk.
Mm-hmm.
And you just broke my hip, and here it is. And I couldn't believe I couldn't bring that name up right away. But it's one of those things you got to notice. In the Lord's Prayer, you know, His kingdom come, His will be done in our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not my will, not your will, His will.
True freedom in learning that.
Well, and even for number 3, am I concerned about my image or bearing His? So probably more so now than ever in my career, I look at my classroom as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Instead of a chore. Mm-hmm. And I'm more mindful of the things I say and the things I do. And I still fail. I still screw up and mess up, you know, when the kid has his earbuds in, he's not supposed to.
Yeah.
Am I a little bit snarky? Probably so. You're
a little bit snarky anyway.
Should I be that way?
That's why I like
have
it so
a little
much.
snarkiness, but you know, I'm more mindful when I'm at school.
We're not perfect.
No, we're not. We're
Right.
far from it.
Yes.
And you know, but I'm more
Sinners
mindful.
need saviors.
Yeah, I'm more mindful of the things that I do and the things that I say.
Yeah.
Because again, if we're gonna project this image of being Christ followers, then we have to walk that walk.
Right.
And you know, and I do. I want people to, you know, I want people to see the smile on my face. You know, man, why are you so relaxed, man?
Yeah.
So let me tell you about Tuesday night.
Yeah.
When I saw 40 people.
Yeah.
When I saw kingdom victories.
Yeah.
Last night, and people breaking those generational curses, and
Right.
and again, that there are people out there that will see these clips and will be turned off by it. And you know, it's real easy for Christians to criticize people like that. Christ followers, we pray for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we love you where you're at.
100%.
It's not my job to beat you over the head with a Bible or something, but it's to love you where you're at. And
We
you
said
know
that last week. You're welcome at my table for a meal.
You're welcome, man, and come and sit
we'll
down.
have intelligent conversation.
And I'll have a conversation with you, and
if I'm offending you, you could tell me. That's okay. I can take
more
that,
than open
but I'm
to
still
take,
love you.
Yeah, I'll take constructive criticism all day long. And you know, and again, we're not thumping Bibles here. We're projecting our faith,
right?
Because we have a platform that gives us reign to do that, and we would be remiss, and we would be wrong, to not speak on what God has done. Because 8 months ago, a year ago, I would not be able to talk like this. 2 years ago, I would not have been able to do a podcast because my language is so horrible.
We're going on 2 years now. Too.
Yeah, almost fixing to be 3 this fall, and I wouldn't be able to talk like this.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for the I saw your soap card, if it wasn't for the soap card, and I'll tell you what, when I send pictures of that to people, then you know, when I talk to people, I'm like, I'm like really struggling and getting in the Word every day. I'm like, oh, let me send you a picture of my soap card. Well, what's that? Okay, it's where you read this verse. And what Pastor Jody says. What am I supposed to get out of this?
Read the Bible, do what it says.
What am I supposed to get out of this, and how am I supposed to apply it to my life?
Right.
So when I read that, When I look at that, and I love that every Sunday, I don't know if y'all have noticed, but every Sunday, the reading recently is James.
Yeah.
Every Sunday. The reading this Sunday, when Elisa spoke, was what she preached on.
Right. And, well, even I think the Psalm reading, too, that fit right into it.
Yes, and
so,
they correlate with each other. Yeah.
And, but, I mean, James says it best, as for me and my house,
we will serve the Lord.
Mm-hmm. And then, am I focused on building earthly wealth or stirring up treasures in heaven? And I struggled there, man, for so many. I mean, I told you my story when I sat down with this company that I'm working for now 14 years ago, or 16 years ago in my life. Wow, I should say that. I sat at the table with the guy and I said, my name's going to be on that building someday. Right. So, man, how God humbles you.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes the worst in you and makes it some of the best in you.
Look
too.
what he did to Paul, who used to be Saul.
The guy was running around killing
and was the best
his
at
people.
It. So we've talked about this at our Bible study, and then we talked about it at base camp. I was like, guys, y'all need to understand the context of what we're talking about. Saul was a Roman citizen, which gave him privilege.
Yeah.
And he was out hunting Christians to kill them. And he was the best at it. Like, he wasn't just good. He was the best at what he did.
Yeah.
And that's why God picked him.
Yeah. And the way, I mean, blinding him on the walk to Damascus, right?
So all he could do was look inside.
Right. And basically saying to him, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you persecuting me?
Yeah.
I love you. And change
You're killing my people.
Yeah. But that's, like we said, even sinners need a savior. You're never too far gone, and that's where forgiveness comes into play. And even people we know will say, I still struggle with the fact I have to forgive. Well,
it's hard. It's a human emotion to not.
Right. And it's, again, it's not necessarily access, but it is light in your life, because it takes that burden away from you once you do it and you free yourself fully from it.
Well, and when we talk about the Apostle Paul all the time at church, and and here's how you correlate it. The best at killing Christians is Saul, to being the absolute best emissary for Christ.
Yeah.
After his conversion.
The best
and
at creating disciples.
I got to make up for all the Christians I killed.
I'm still creating disciples to this day.
Yeah.
Right?
Because a study of Paul is just the man Paul. Is transformational, and there's so many books out there. I mean, you have to be careful which one you get. You want to make sure it's based on sound doctrine and things like that. And I think I always equate stuff in the Bible with history, because that's what I do. And and so I always like to add a historical component. When we're talking about Jesus and his disciples going out and ministering to people and talking to these groups and these groups and and when they encounter people, I always make sure I want people to understand that groups of individuals did not mix together. Yeah. Only in only in trade, but you didn't see this group over here intermingling with this group, and they weren't like hanging out having barbecues all the time. I mean, people kept to themselves. Yeah. And so the idea of
they didn't have rope swings like we do down here in Texas.
Yeah. So. They weren't floating the river. They didn't have tubes floating the river. They didn't have Buc-ee's and all that other stuff. But
they didn't have Buc-ee's.
Yeah. Can you imagine traveling around the Sea of Galilee and there's a Buc-ee's over there? That's maybe sacrilege.
I love me some Buc-ee's.
But
you're like an oasis in the desert.
Yeah.
I'm digressing and chasing a squirrel right now in my mind. So sorry.
But I mean, it's when you think about it, and people want to discount the Bible. The fact that there are written accounts of Isaiah, talking about the coming of Jesus, of the coming of the one, and how that prophecy is fulfilled. And we talked about this at base camp. I think it was last Thursday, where the descendants of Jesus were perfectly imperfect people. Yeah. You look at the woman at the well and her story, and how Jesus came to her as a gateway.
Not just one wife, or not just one husband, but five.
Yeah. And
this man knows all my sins. He must be the Christ.
It's
yeah.
And again, I know it's a show, The Chosen. I know it's a TV show, and there's liberties that are taken, but the number of people that I've seen that give that show credit for opening their hearts to coming to Christ.
That's it. Like, people, like, we're so hung up on judging the message, right? Instead of judging what it's giving access to or creating.
Yeah.
Everybody has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you don't give them access to start, they don't start. And like us talking here tonight, this is our way of giving back our access. Are we always walking into the doors? You follow Christ, you follow Christ, you follow Christ.
Right.
Should we? Yeah, in some ways. But, we were talking about Penn and Teller and what Penn had said about Christians, and you actually put it on the podcast from last week. But how much do you hate people if you're not telling them about Christ in your life, knowing that He is the Savior of our lives?
Or you're too busy judging other people for what they're doing instead of talking to them.
Correct.
Because, I mean, if you're Pharisaical, if you're like a Pharisee, I think that's one of the things that, again, going back to The Chosen, one of the things that's really hit home for me, because when you read the Word and you hear about the Pharisees and the Sadducees and how they're questioning Jesus, and you're doing these things on the Sabbath, you're doing these, but when you see that visual, and again, Dallas Jenkins takes liberties, but because it's Hollywood, but I can tell you right now, as someone who grew up in church, and is a Christ follower now, when I was getting caught up on the shows on our plane flight to Milan this past summer, and I am just bawling my eyes out, and I don't care who sees it. I had my tablet out and I'm watching it, and I'm crying, and it's tears of thankfulness.
Yeah.
Because, Lindsay, we're gonna watch it. This is a woman I'm dating now. We're gonna watch it together because she hasn't seen it, and it makes you, for me, it makes me want to get in the Word more.
Yeah.
It makes me want to read the Bible more.
Yeah.
And when I'm in church on Sundays and they're preaching the Word and they're talking about these things, like Jesus walking on water, and Simon Peter gets out there and he takes his eyes off of him. I picture that scene. The visuals are great because we're a society that lives off visuals now.
Yep.
Even us older folks.
And obviously, there is a tie into learning too, visualization and stuff like that. And it's fun seeing those pictures or those stories in action, just because it gives you like, oh man, that could have been real. That could have been exactly how their attitudes were. That it could be completely off base, which is fun because, again, like we said, let the Bible shape you, don't shape the Bible. There are liberties taken, but it is meant for entertainment. It doesn't say this is a complete depiction of what the Bible is, but it is painting a picture of what
it's painting a picture of
life could be like.
And the human quality of Jesus, because he was a man, and when he would get frustrated with his disciples, because they just simply weren't getting it, that's us.
Yeah,
that's 100% us.
Yeah,
because whenever he's putting things on our heart and we ignore it, look at Jonah. Man, I'm going to stick you in a fish for a couple of days.
The belly of a whale.
You're going to put you in a fish, and you're gonna
you got it now.
You wanted to do it your way, and we're going to end up doing. And Don, I tell you what, Don Disco, I love Don on Thursday because he shares his testimony about how he's at a crossroads and he does it his way, and it's like a train wreck. You go off the rails, and you end up back around at another crossroads, and God's like, okay, you ready to do it my way? Yeah. And so when you do it his way, the path is easier.
Yeah.
And it's more rewarding.
Well, it's funny. You talk about GPS redirecting. We've had sermons on that stuff like that before. You remember the old Garmin's back in the day?
Yeah, I had one.
We talk about it.
I have one in here.
Tom's and Garmin's.
There was a point in my life, because you actually know the meaning of true north. What true north is, and think of vertical, think of true north. True north's not a straight line.
No, it's not.
It's not a direct path.
It's not a direct path.
And
it meanders.
That's where, like, God woke up my hunger to learn, like continually learn. And no, like, because, Luke 137, for nothing is impossible with God.
Mm-hmm.
That's right after the Immaculate Conception.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that to heart. Nothing's impossible with God. I started fixing things. I started doing things. I started trying different things. And then I started seeing those victories in my life based on the belief in the Creator instead of the belief in ability or lack thereof. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing's impossible.
Well, yeah. And, we talk about a lot, with prayer. Well, I prayed for this. I prayed for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're praying the wrong prayers. You're praying for selfish things. Here's what
God's not a vending machine.
Here's I mean, and again, this is when I started praying this way. They're like the same clowns. This is for me personally, this is how I pray. God, put me in the rooms you need me in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put me in front of the people you need me to be in front of, and use me as a vessel.
Man.
Again, going back to what Chris always says, less of me and more of you.
Yeah.
And if people come up, hey, Coach, I saw your podcast, man. It's awesome, man. Everybody's seen it. It's all him.
Yeah.
It's all him. Yeah. This is not me. It's all him.
Well, and that
has given me this platform.
That's the other part of this. Are you truly listening or trying to be heard?
Yeah.
Mm.
And every conversation, like there used to be a point in like work managing people, you with students, I'd walk out of that conversation and most of it was me trying to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
Now I walk out of that conversation and I discern. That's what discernment is.
Mm-hmm.
Is thinking through the conversation and being like, oh man, where could have I been better? And how could I have listened better?
That's it right there.
Right.
What did I hear?
Right.
What did I hear? And
what did I misinterpret too?
What did I misinterpret? And God, teach me to be a better listener.
Right. Give me ears to hear. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that was my prayer when when Christ first took over. I'm all in. That was my prayer. Lord, give me eyes to see and ears to hear.
Yeah, and slow to speak. Quicker to action, slow to speak.
I can speak.
Yeah, I can too. I mean, I like firing off, and man, and I catch myself on Facebook and Threads and stuff like that, and even on TikTok. I swear I'd never have a TikTok, and there I am, and where I'm like, if I'm responding to this, how am I, not so much how am I going to be perceived, but how is this building kingdom?
Right.
Yeah.
If I type this and I hit submit, does this portray God in a positive way?
Yeah, and you can always flip the tables a little bit.
And I screw up sometimes with that.
But you don't want to flip them too far. You don't want to flip them into somebody's face and hurt them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I've been involved in the physical flipping of tables and
well, it worked for Jesus in,
in the temple. Let's wrap it up on that.
That's not my purpose.
No.
So basically, to find a good church, find a good community, multi-generational church.
And it doesn't have to be vertical.
Yeah.
We open, our doors are open.
Yeah.
If you're looking.
One that
and then when you give your life to Christ,
you don't have to be in your phones in the classroom.
Yeah.
And when you give your life to Christ, get baptized.
And it's a church that teaches the Bible.
That's right.
Not interpretations of the Bible, teaches the Bible.
Read the Bible, do what it says.
Since we're kind of on the same theme as yesterday, I want to play, because right as you said this, I was thinking about this clip that I just posted when you walked in the door earlier, and it's Ralph's son Jacob from last night, from yesterday morning.
What do you see as a miss in a church context?
Yeah.
In a service?
I prefer smaller community and something that's maybe a little more intimate and tight-knit. And so I think that when it comes to finding different churches, I don't like churches where I feel like it's easy for you to just go in, walk out, and no one's going to say hi to you. No one's going to know who you are. I think that is like the ultimate miss to me. I like churches where it's kind of like community is something that it's a necessity. It's like built into the church. That's definitely a miss to me. I also think probably maybe this is more applicable to everyone in my generation that, I mean, as you said before, like authenticity or whatever, I think everyone is wanting something real. And I think that Gen Z is particularly adept to finding what's fake and seeing through a lot of the different, I think, church BS that happens now. We are maybe a little more keen to looking at seeing through just not authenticity, just people being fake. And I think that is probably the biggest miss, if anything, because everyone is looking for something real, and if what I'm being sold at church isn't real, or if the person who's selling it to me, like the pastor, is caught up in something else that is contrary to what he's preaching, I think that's when a lot of people get turned off, because if it's not genuine, then why would I want it?
That's good stuff right there, man. How old is that young
Ooh.
man?
He is a freshman in college.
Man, that's
awesome. Starts UT right now, I guess, next week.
And that's where
a tough
we
school
sit
to
at
go
a
to.
church where we're growing through the seams, but that's why we have connection teams that are trying to look for the people that are looking lost or looking for things, and then opportunities through groups. Like onboarding groups, like base camp, like you mentioned tonight.
Now, our numbers have grown.
Yeah,
there's Thursdays where we have fewer, but I'd say on average we're probably about 35, 40
but to
people.
his extent too, young adults and youth, and like, hey man, like they need to know, but we also got to find the people that are seeking what they need to know. We try not to let people walk through the doors without being noticed.
Right.
And I mean, when you get to 2,000 members in a church, it's a little different than that first baptism I was at with 50 people, right? And we've seen it from the beginning to now. But I would say our community has never been stronger either.
Yeah.
No, I would agree with that. And the time I've been going there.
Not for everybody. That's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
But, yeah.
Find where you belong.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you get there, pour into people so that they can pour into you.
And stop looking for the perfect church, because it doesn't
exist.
No.
I mean, we
love
all sinners saved by grace.
Yeah,
if you find it, leave, because that's cool.
We love where we're at, just because the people that are there are genuinely interested in your walk with Christ.
Right.
And it's there's people there to judge. There's judgmental people everywhere. But I can tell you right now, with my experience at Vertical, there's fewer of them.
Well,
and are genuinely interested in your walk with Christ.
To that point, everybody's accessible. Like people. You get gripped by fear sometimes and think that somebody in the church isn't accessible. Every single person that goes to Vertical or has been there, you don't know if I've been there for 11 years like I have for James. You could be year 1 or day 3, or sermon number 3. But come, introduce yourself to us too. If I don't know you, I want to know you, because I want you to have the same relationship that I have.
Yeah.
And more than anything, it's people...
the same.
If you make assumptions that relationship's not there, you're going to lose something or miss something. But people want it. And that's where, like, we're in a place where people want relationship with others. So
Kirk's good at that.
Kirk is so good at that.
Kirk's so good at that.
He is good.
He's awesome, man.
And he remembers names so much better than me.
He's put him in Missing Persons, man.
I mean,
like Pep Streebek from Dragnet movie, dude.
How many times have I read stories in the Bible and I'm screwing up names here right now?
I don't know. I'm not good at verses and stuff. That's why I don't do names and dates in history. I tell stories.